My son shouted. "Stop calling me. You're not welcome. I don't want you at my birthday." The phone slipped from my hand onto the kitchen floor. I sat frozen at the table, remembering the cakes I once baked for him. And in that silence, I made a promise no more erasing myself. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. I'm Eleanor Brooks, 73 years old, widow, mother to Nathan. For 40 years I sold train tickets at Union Station. Watched people come and go. Now I'm the one being left behind. I called Nathan at noon on his birthday. Same as always. For decades, the same ritual. The birthday song. His laugh. Plans for cake. This time his words cut through before I could finish the first note. "We don't celebrate with you anymore." His voice flat, cold as January pavement. No hello, no explanation, just a door slamming shut in my ear. I set the phone down next to my chipped teacup. Steam rose between us, him on the other end of silence. Me in my kitchen. The recipe card lay open. Chocolate pirate cake. His favorite when he was 7. I remember his sticky fingers on my apron. The way he'd stand on the step stool, nose level with the mixing bowl, declaring me the best conductor on earth. I used to salute him with my wooden spoon. The kitchen held its breath. So did I. Then something shifted inside me. Small at first, like a train changing tracks. If I wasn't welcome as family, I would stop volunteering as infrastructure. I opened the blue spiral notebook I kept by the stove. Every page documented years of giving. Brake pads for Nathan's SUV. $300. Emergency rent when his condo flooded. $1,500. Summer camp deposit for Ava. $800. Sloan's dental crown. $2,000. Cancun flights. Just until payday, they'd said. $1,200. 15 years of entries. $47,000 and change. Old habits from the train station. Every schedule logged. Every departure recorded. Numbers don't lie. People do. That afternoon I walked to the bank. My legs steady. My mind clear. Carlin Wynne sat behind the teller window. Young enough to be my granddaughter. Kind eyes behind wire rim glasses. I asked her to freeze the automatic transfers. Set a new password. She printed confirmation slips. Clean white paper. Black ink. "Done," she said. "Done," I repeated. The phone rang during dinner. I was eating soup by the window, watching the Klein family across the street. Their kitchen glowed warm. Plates clattered. Children laughed. Once that sound stung. Tonight it sounded like life moving forward. Sloane's voice came through the receiver. Sweet as artificial vanilla. She wondered if there'd been a glitch with the bank transfers. Some technical error. No glitch, I told her. A boundary. The word hung between us. Sharp-edged. Final. She tried again. Softer this time. More concerned. "We're worried about you, Eleanor. Living alone. Making big decisions." I spooned soup slowly. Let her words settle. "You worried about the money," I said. "Not about me." The silence stretched long. She hung up without saying goodbye. I finished my soup. Washed the bowl. Dried it with Harold's old dish towel. The one with tiny holes from years of use. Outside, the Kleins were still laughing. Their porch light cast yellow squares on wet pavement. I turned off my kitchen lamp. Sat in the dark. For the first time in months, the quiet felt like peace. Not emptiness. Peace. My house breathed differently. Settled into new rhythms. The refrigerator hummed. The old clock ticked. The radiator sighed. Sounds I'd forgotten while listening for their needs. their calls, their emergencies. I touched Harold's wedding ring on the chain around my neck. Cold metal, warm memory. He'd left me notes sometimes, tucked in my gardening gloves, slipped between recipe pages. Don't become a wallet with a pulse, one had said. Too late for that warning. But not too late for the cure. I climbed the stairs to bed, each step deliberate. In the bathroom mirror, I saw my mother's face. Strong jaw, steady eyes. She'd raised 4 children during the Depression. Never asked for help. Never offered apologies for surviving. I brushed my teeth, braided my hair, put on Harold's old flannel shirt. It still smelled like sawdust and aftershave. In bed, I stared at the ceiling. Water stains mapped like countries I'd never visit. Nathan used to trace those shapes with his finger, making up stories about distant lands. Before he learned that love could be measured, quantified, withdrawn. The digital clock glowed green. 11:47 p.m. His birthday was ending. Without my song, without my cake, without me. I closed my eyes, felt something new take root in the dark. Not anger. Stronger than that. Dignity. Clean and sharp as morning air. Tomorrow I would plant it deeper. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. I woke before dawn. The house still dark. Harold used to rise early too. Said the morning held promises the day couldn't break. I made coffee in his old pot, the one that whistled off key. Steam fogged the window. I wiped it clear with my sleeve. Across the street, the Klein's house slept. Peaceful, whole. I sat at the kitchen table with my blue notebook, pen in hand. 15 years of entries stared back at me, each one a small erasure. Nathan's car repair, Sloane's spa weekend, Ava's designer boots, emergency after emergency, need after need, always urgent, always temporary, always mine to fix. The numbers added up to more than money. They measured how I disappeared. Dollar by dollar, yes by yes, until I became invisible, even to myself. I closed the notebook. The sound echoed in the quiet kitchen. Today I would practice a new word. No. The bank opened at 9. I dressed carefully. Navy cardigan. Sensible shoes. The same outfit I'd worn to Harold's funeral. Armor disguised as respectability. Carla smiled when she saw me. Her desk neat as a train schedule. I need to review my accounts, I told her. All of them. She pulled up screens of numbers. Green text on black background. Automatic transfers to Nathan's account. Monthly. Reliable as rent. Sloane's credit card payments. Emergency fund access. Ava's student loans. I'd become their personal Federal Reserve. Always open. Always lending. Carla's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Waiting. Cancel them all, I said. Every automatic transfer. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. Are you sure, Mrs. Brooks? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. She typed. Clicked. Confirmed. The screen refreshed. Clean columns. No more outgoing arrows. My money would stay where it belonged. With me. I walked home slowly. The morning air crisp against my face. Mrs. Klein waved from her garden. Dirt under her fingernails. Joy in her voice. How are you today, Eleanor? Better than yesterday, I said. Much better. She smiled like she understood. Maybe she did. At home, I made a sandwich. Tuna fish. No crusts. Harold had always eaten the crusts. Said waste was a sin. Now I threw them to the birds. Watched sparrows fight over crumbs. The phone rang at 2:30. Nathan's number on the screen. I let it ring. Counted each tone. 7 times. Then silence. He called again at 3. Then 4. Then 5. Each time, I listened. Each time, I chose silence. By 6 o'clock, the calls stopped. The house settled into evening. I heated soup for dinner. The same bowl as last night. Through the window, the Kleins gathered around their table. Heads bowed. Grace before meals. I'd forgotten what that looked like. Family choosing gratitude. My soup cooled as I watched them. The father passing bread. The mother serving seconds. Children talking over each other. Messy. Loud. Real. Everything my family had never been. The phone buzzed. A text from Sloan. There seems to be an issue with the transfers. Can we talk tomorrow? I deleted the message without responding. Tomorrow they would learn what I'd learned today. No was a complete sentence. I finished my soup, washed the bowl, dried it with care. The kitchen felt different now. Lighter somehow, like I'd opened windows I hadn't known were closed. I found Harold's old toolbox in the basement. Dusty but solid. Inside, folded papers. His handwriting. Notes to himself about projects. And one note for me. Yellow with age. Eleanor, don't let them mistake your kindness for weakness. You're stronger than you think. H. I pressed the paper to my chest. Felt his words sink deep. He'd known this day would come. The day I'd need to remember who I was. Before I became their solution. Their emergency fund. Their convenience. I climbed the stairs to bed. Each step felt different now. Not just tired feet going through motions. But a woman walking towards something new. In the bathroom mirror, I met my own eyes. Really looked. Gray hair. Lined face. Hands that had worked for decades. But something else too. Something I'd almost lost. Myself. I brushed my teeth. Braided my hair. Put on Harold's shirt. The flannel soft against my skin. His scent fading but not gone. In bed, I listened to the house. My house. The radiator's gentle knock. The clock's steady tick. The refrigerator's quiet hum. Sounds of a home. Not a bank. Not a service station. A home where I lived. Where I mattered. Where I belonged. The digital clock read 10:23. Tomorrow would bring consequences. Phone calls. Explanations demanded. But tonight, I slept in my own bed. In my own house. On my own terms. For the first time in years, that felt like enough. The morning brought consequences. As I knew it would. Nathan's car pulled into my driveway at 8:15. Engine still running. He didn't knock. Used his old key. The one I'd forgotten to take back. I heard his footsteps in the hallway. Heavy. Determined. Angry. He found me in the kitchen. Coffee cup halfway to my lips. We need to talk, he said. His voice tight as a closed fist. I set down my cup. Steady hands. Steady heart. We're talking now. He pulled out his phone. Showed me numbers. Read text. Overdraft fees. You cut off the transfers without warning. Sloane's card was declined yesterday. I sipped my coffee. Let the silence stretch between us. Your emergencies aren't mine anymore. His face flushed red. The same color as when he was 5. Caught stealing cookies. Mom, this isn't a game. We have responsibilities. Bills. Obligations. So do I said. To myself. He paced to the window. Stared out at the Klein's house. You're being unreasonable. We're family. Family doesn't exclude people from birthdays. He turned back to me. Something desperate in his eyes now. That was Sloane's decision, not mine. But you went along with it. The words hung in the air. Heavy as wet laundry. He sat down across from me. leaned forward, used his broker voice. Look, we've been talking about your situation, living alone at your age. My situation is fine. The house is too big for one person. Too much maintenance. Too many risks. I know every creak in this house. Every loose floorboard. Every draft. Harold built these shelves with his own hands. Level to the 1,000th of an inch. The kitchen floor still shows the scratch from Nathan's science project. Solar system on wheels. He'd dragged it too fast down the hall. I remember bandaging his scraped knee that same day. Kissing it better. Nathan followed my gaze to the old scar in the wood. Something flickered across his face. Memory, maybe. Or guilt. But it passed. Business mode returned. There are nice senior communities. Safe. Convenient. Social activities. This house could sell for good money. Help everyone. Help everyone. Not help me. Help everyone. I stood up. Walked to the manila folder by the phone. Inside, documents I'd prepared yesterday. After my visit to Priya Shah, the family lawyer, I handed Nathan a paper. Clean white. Legal letterhead. What's this? A life estate trust. The house stays mine until I die. Then it goes to Lucas. His eyes scanned the document. Widened. Narrowed. Lucas? My son gets nothing? Lucas visits without wanting money. Listens without planning my exit. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. Nathan crumpled the paper. Threw it toward the trash. Missed. It landed by Harold's old chair. We'll contest this. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking clearly for the first time in years. He pulled out his phone again. Started dialing. I'm calling Sloane. And Ava. We need to discuss this as a family. Go ahead. Call them. I picked up the crumpled paper. Smoothed it on the table. But this is my house. My decision. My life. He canceled the call. Stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. To him. To all of them. The woman who said yes to everything had died yesterday at the bank. This woman said no. And meant it. Nathan's phone buzzed. A text. He glanced down. Sloane's at the grocery store. Card declined again. His shoulders sagged. The businessman mask slipped. Underneath, I saw the boy who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms. Mom, please. We're struggling. The mortgage rates. Business is slow. I'm not your business plan, Nathan. He looked around the kitchen. At Harold's careful work. At my small life. You always helped before. Before you included me. Before you called me family. His jaw tightened. The moment of vulnerability passed. Fine. Keep your house. Keep your money. See how lonely you get. He walked toward the door. Stopped. Turned back. When you fall down these stairs, don't call me. The door slammed. His car roared away. I sat in the sudden quiet. Hands shaking now. The coffee had gone cold. I poured it down the sink. Made fresh. Added extra sugar. Through the window, Mrs. Klein tended her roses. Humming something I couldn't hear. Her husband sat on their porch. Reading the morning paper. They waved to each other across the yard. Easy. Natural. Love that didn't cost anything but attention. I found the deed to my house. Filed it with the trust documents. Every page signed. Every signature witnessed. This house would not move. Neither would I. The phone rang twice that afternoon. Sloane's number both times. I let it ring. Counted the tones. 7 each time. Then silence. The third call was Ava. I answered. Grandma Eleanor? We need to talk about this trust thing. Her voice sweet as frosting. Fake as artificial vanilla. Hello, Ava. Dad says you're giving the house to Lucas. That's not fair. Fair to whom? To the family. To me. I'm your granddaughter too. When did you last visit without wanting something? Silence on her end. Long enough to hear her breathing. That's not the point. That is exactly the point. I hung up, unplugged the phone from the wall. The house settled into evening quiet. I heated leftover soup, ate by the window, watched the Kleins' dinner hour. Their warm kitchen light, their easy laughter floating across the street. I'd chosen solitude over servitude, peace over performance. Some prices were worth paying. In bed that night, I listened to my house breathe. The radiator's steady rhythm, the clock's patient tick, Harold's spirit in every board and nail. This house had sheltered love, weathered storms, held memories. It would not be sold. Not for their convenience. Not while I drew breath. Outside, wind moved through the old oak tree, leaves rustling like whispered secrets. I pulled Harold's flannel shirt closer. Closed my eyes. Tomorrow would bring more pressure. More arguments. More demands. But tonight, I slept in my own bed. In my own house. Protected by legal documents and a will stronger than fear. The house and I had made our choice. We would stand together. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. They came together this time. A united front. Nathan's sedan. Sloane's white SUV. Ava's little red car. All three parked in my driveway at 10 on Saturday morning. Like a hostile takeover. Corporate and coordinated. I watched from the kitchen window. Sipped my coffee slowly. They'd planned this. Rehearsed their arguments. Divided their roles. The banker. The negotiator. The emotional manipulator. I knew these parts. Had seen this play before. Nathan knocked. Polite but firm. Public manners for private warfare. I opened the door. Stood in the frame. Didn't invite them in. We need to discuss this situation, Mom. There's no situation to discuss. Sloane stepped forward. Smile bright as fresh paint. Eleanor, we're worried about you. Making big decisions alone. She wore her event planner face. Professional concern. Practiced warmth. I make all my decisions alone now. Ava pushed past both of them. Breezed into my hallway. Grandma, this is crazy. You're being so dramatic. 23 years old. Designer coat. Entitled stride. I followed her inside. They all crowded into my small living room. Harold's chair. My reading lamp. The throw blanket I'd knitted last winter. They looked around like appraisers. Calculating value. Planning removal. Sloane sat on my couch. Crossed her legs. Opened her leather folder. We've done some research. Senior communities. Wonderful options. She spread brochures across my coffee table. Glossy photos. Smiling faces. Look at these amenities. Pool. Fitness center. Organized activities. I didn't look. Kept my eyes on their faces instead. You could make friends your own age, Ava added. Find companionship. I have companionship. With myself. With this house. With Harold's memory. Nathan sat forward. Elbows on knees. Business posture. The house is an asset, Mom. A tool. It should work for the family. I am the family. This is my asset. My tool. My choice. He pulled out his phone. Showed me numbers again. Property values in this neighborhood. Market analysis. Profit projections. Numbers and charts. Everything reduced to dollars and cents. Including me. We could get 400,000, maybe more. Split it fairly. Split it fairly. Among whom? Well, naturally, you'd keep most of it. For your care. Your needs. Most of it. Not all of it. Most. Sloane leaned forward, touched my hand with manicured fingers. We just want what's best for you, Eleanor. Her wedding ring caught the morning light. 2 carats. Paid for with my emergency fund 3 years ago. What's best for me is staying in my home. Ava stood up, paced to the window. Drama in every step. This is so selfish, Grandma. Think about Dad's business. My student loans. I thought about them for 15 years. Now I think about me. She spun around, eyes bright with tears. Performance tears. You raised me to be generous. To help family. I raised you to value people over profit. The room fell quiet. Clock ticking. Radiator humming. They regrouped. Changed tactics. Tag team approach. Nathan stood. Walked to Harold's old chair. Ran his fingers along the armrest. Dad would want what's practical, Mom. He was always practical. Harold left me notes, Nathan. Hidden in my gardening gloves. One said don't become a wallet with a pulse. Another said your kindness isn't weakness. Nathan's hand stilled on the chair. Something flickered in his eyes. He'd forgotten about Harold's notes. Harold's wisdom. The father who'd raised him to be better than this. Sloane cleared her throat. Pulled out more papers. We've found a lovely place. Sunset Manor. Only 20 minutes away. We could visit regularly. Help with the transition. You visit now for money. You'd visit then for guilt. Ava flopped back onto the couch. All drama and wounded feelings. Fine. Keep your stupid house. See if we care. But Nathan wasn't finished. He sat on the coffee table. Faced me directly. What about when you can't manage anymore? What about safety? I manage fine. Have for 3 years since Harold died. What about medical emergencies? Falls? Fires? What about car accidents? Plane crashes? Meteor strikes? He sighed, rubbed his forehead, the gesture so like Harold's. For a moment I saw the boy who'd skinned his knees. Asked for band-aids and kisses. Then he spoke again. The businessman returned. We're trying to help you, Mom. Plan ahead. Be responsible. You're trying to help yourselves. With my house, my money, my future. Sloane gathered her brochures. Snapped her folder shut. We can't force you. But we think you're making a mistake. The first mistake I made was teaching you that love comes with interest rates. They stood, collected their things, moved toward the door. 3 generations of my blood. Walking away because I'd closed the bank. Nathan paused in the doorway. Looked back. When you change your mind, call us. I won't change my mind. He nodded, almost smiled. Something sad and final. Then I guess we'll see you around, Mom. The door closed. Cars started. Engines faded. I stood in my empty living room. Surrounded by Harold's furniture. The throw pillows I'd embroidered. The family photos on the mantel. Pictures of birthday parties. Christmas mornings. Summer vacations. All paid for with love. Not loans. I picked up Sloane's forgotten brochure. Sunset Manor. Smiling seniors. Organized fun. I tore it in half. Then quarters. Let the pieces fall. Outside, the Kleins worked in their garden. Saturday morning ritual. He planted. She watered. They talked and laughed. Partnership. Not negotiation. I made lunch for 1. Tuna sandwich. Sweet pickles. Iced tea. Ate at Harold's place at the table. The way I had every day since he died. Some rituals were worth keeping. Some traditions deserved preservation. The afternoon stretched quiet and long. No phone calls. No visitors. No demands. No emergencies. No guilt. Just me and my house and the choice we'd made together. In the evening I walked through each room. Touched Harold's handiwork. The level shelves. The sturdy stair rail. The window seat he'd built for reading. Every board chosen carefully. Every nail driven with love. This house was more than square footage. More than market value. It was Harold's legacy. My sanctuary. Our shared history. It would not be sold. Not for their convenience. Not while I lived and breathed and remembered. The evening news played on Harold's old television. Distant troubles. Other people's sorrows. I turned it off. Listened to my house instead. The dishwasher's quiet hum. The ice maker's gentle drop. The radiator's patient sigh. The clock's steady measure. Sounds of home. Of belonging. Of choice. I climbed the stairs to bed. Each step deliberate. Each step mine. In the mirror I saw Harold's Eleanor. The woman he'd married. Strong enough to stand alone. Wise enough to choose peace. I put on his flannel shirt. Climbed into our bed. Tomorrow would bring silence. No calls. No visits. No demands. Some prices were worth paying. Some solitudes were chosen. I closed my eyes. Listened to the night. Wind in the oak tree. Rain on the windows. The sound of a house that would not move. The sound of a woman who would not bend. 3 days of silence. No calls. No texts. No surprise visits. The house breathed easier without their tension. I watered Harold's plants. Read my library book. Made soup for one. Simple pleasures. Quiet rhythms. Peace I'd forgotten existed. Wednesday morning brought a gentle knock. Kitchen door, not front. The door for friends. For people who belonged. Lucas stood on my back step. Rain dripping from his old hoodie. Bakery bag in one hand. Thermos in the other. Smile on his face. 25 years old. Nathan's son. My grandson. My hope. Hey Grandma Eleanor. Thought you might like some company. I opened the door wide. Let warmth and kindness enter. He smelled like rain and coffee. Like possibility. We sat at the kitchen table. The same table where I'd fed him cookies. Where he'd done homework. Built model airplanes. Dreamed aloud. He unpacked the bakery bag. Blueberry muffins. Still warm. Poured coffee from his thermos. Real cream. Just how I liked it. We ate without talking at first. Comfortable silence. Rain tapped the windows. The radiator hummed. Time moved slowly. Finally he spoke. Voice quiet as morning fog. Dad called me yesterday. I buttered my muffin. Waited for whatever came next. He told me about the trust. About the house. About everything. Everything. His version of everything. He thinks you're making a mistake. And what do you think? Lucas stirred his coffee. Chose his words carefully. I think you're the only one who gets to decide. Smart boy. Always had been. Even as a child. While Ava demanded attention, Lucas observed. Listened. Understood. He reached into his jacket pocket. Pulled out an envelope. This came to my apartment yesterday. Your name on it. The return address said Nathan Brooks. His father. My son. I opened it slowly. Read the contents. Felt my heart sink. Legal papers. Competency hearing. Accusations of mental decline. They want a judge to declare you unfit. Take control of your finances. My hands didn't shake. My voice stayed steady. Can they do that? Lucas leaned forward. Reached across the table. Covered my hands with his. Not if you have good legal representation. Not if you're competent. Which you obviously are. His fingers were warm. Strong. Familiar. Like Harold's hands. Like hope itself. I have Priya Shah. She's sharp. Experienced. Good. Call her today. Don't wait. He stood up, walked to the window, stared out at my small backyard. Harold's garden, now overgrown, wild with neglect. I'm sorry, Grandma. About Dad. About all of this. You're not responsible for their choices, Lucas. I feel responsible. They're my family too. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't threaten. Family doesn't abandon. He turned back to me, eyes bright with unshed tears. What they're doing isn't right. No, it isn't. We sat quietly again, the weight of betrayal between us. My son wanted me declared incompetent, unfit, mentally gone, because I'd stopped funding his life, his wife's, his daughter's, because I'd chosen dignity over servitude. Lucas finished his coffee, checked his watch. I have to get to class. Ecology lab. But I'll come back tomorrow. You don't have to check on me, Lucas. I'm not checking on you. I'm visiting. There's a difference. He kissed my forehead, the way Harold used to. Call Priya today. Promise me. I promise. After he left, I sat alone with the legal papers. Petition for guardianship. Nathan Brooks versus Eleanor Brooks. My son against his mother. In court. In public. The accusations stung like paper cuts. Shows signs of confusion. Makes impulsive financial decisions. Isolates herself from family. Exhibits paranoid behavior. Paranoid. For protecting myself. For saying no. Confused. For thinking clearly after years of fog. Impulsive. For planning carefully with lawyers. I called Priya Shah, her voice crisp, professional, reassuring. Eleanor, I've been expecting your call. She'd seen this before. Adult children challenging parents. Money-making monsters of blood relations. We'll fight this. You're as sharp as anyone I know. How long do I have? 2 weeks. But don't worry, we'll be ready. That afternoon I organized my documents. Bank statements, medical records, proof of competence, evidence of sound mind, the phone bill showing I'd stopped unnecessary services, the grocery receipts showing careful budgeting, the investment statements showing wise financial management. Numbers don't lie, even when family does. Evening came early. November darkness. Kitchen light warm against it. I heated leftover soup, ate by the window, watched the Kleins' dinner hour. Their easy laughter, their simple joy in each other's company. Once I'd had that, Harold and me, young love growing into deep partnership. Before children, before expectations, before love became transaction. I missed him most in moments like these. When the world felt sharp-edged, uncertain, cold, but Harold had prepared me. His notes, his love, his example. Don't let them mistake your kindness for weakness. You're stronger than you think. Stand up straight. Speak your truth. Don't apologize for surviving. I found his last note, hidden in my jewelry box. The one I'd never shown anyone. Too precious, too private. Eleanor, if they ever try to take your dignity, remember this: you are not their convenience. You are their mother. There's a difference. Fight for it. H. I pressed the paper to my heart. Felt his presence, his strength flowing into mine, his courage becoming my own. Tomorrow I would call more witnesses, gather more evidence. Prove my competence to strangers who would judge my worthiness. But tonight I sat in my kitchen, in my house, in my dignity, surrounded by Harold's careful work, protected by legal documents, defended by truth and memory and unshakable resolve. They could challenge my mind in court, question my choices publicly, but they could not touch what mattered most. my sense of self, my right to choose, my refusal to disappear. I climbed the stairs to bed, each step deliberate. In the mirror I saw Harold's Eleanor, the woman he'd believed in. Strong enough to stand alone, wise enough to fight back, stubborn enough to win. I put on his flannel shirt, said my prayers, asked for strength, for clarity, for justice, asked Harold to guide my words when the time came. Outside the wind picked up. Rain turned to sleet, November showing its teeth, winter coming early, but inside my house was warm, secure, mine. I closed my eyes, listened to familiar sounds, the furnace kicking on, the old house settling, the steady tick of Harold's clock, measuring time, marking moments, keeping faith. Tomorrow would bring lawyers and documents and battles. But tonight I slept in my own bed, in my own house, protected by love and law and the unbreakable conviction that some things are worth fighting for. Some dignities cannot be surrendered. Some mothers will not go gentle into servitude. I was one of them. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Nathan arrived without warning. Again. Tuesday morning. Rain-soaked and furious. His key still worked. I still hadn't changed the locks. Old habits. Old trust. Old mistakes. He found me in the living room, reading Harold's journal, the one he'd kept during his final illness. His thoughts. His hopes. His fears. Nathan stood dripping in my doorway, anger radiating like heat. "You got my letter. I got your legal threat." He stepped inside, left wet footprints on Harold's clean floors. "It doesn't have to be this way, Mom." "Then don't make it this way." He sat in Harold's chair without being invited, claimed it like territory. The leather still held Harold's shape, his scent, his presence. Nathan looked small sitting there, diminished by comparison. "You're forcing us to take action. Protect you from yourself." "I'm protecting myself from you." He leaned forward, hands clasped. Businessman posture. "The competency hearing is scheduled. 2 weeks from Friday. Doctors will examine you, judge your mental state." "My mental state is fine. My patience with you is not. You're making irrational decisions, cutting off family, living in isolation. I'm making rational decisions about my money, my house, my life." He stood up, walked to the mantel, picked up a family photo. Christmas morning, years ago. Everyone smiling, everyone together. Before love became leverage, before trust became transaction. "Remember this? Remember when we were happy? I remember you climbing into my bed during thunderstorms. I remember baking your birthday cakes, teaching you to tie shoes. I remember being your mother, not your bank account." He set the photo down, faced me directly. "We can still fix this. Cancel the hearing. Work together. You can drop the competency petition. Respect my choices." His jaw tightened. The businessman mask slipped. "You're being impossible, stubborn, selfish." "I'm being myself. For the first time in years." The doorbell rang. Twice. Polite but insistent. Nathan glanced toward the sound. Confusion on his face. "Expecting someone?" I stood up, smoothed my sweater, walked to the front door. Sloane stood on my porch. Designer umbrella, perfect makeup. Behind her, Ava, looking young and uncomfortable. They pushed past me, joined Nathan in my living room. A family meeting. In my house. Without my consent. "We need to discuss your behavior, Eleanor. As a family." Sloane's event planner voice, smooth as poison. "My behavior isn't your business anymore. Everything you do affects us. Your choices have consequences. Yes, they do. For me. In my house. With my money. Ava perched on the edge of my couch. All nervous energy. Grandma, everyone at school is talking about the court case. It's embarrassing. People are asking questions. Ask them this: why is a son trying to steal his mother's independence? I'm not stealing anything. I'm trying to help. Nathan's voice rose, frustration cracking his composure. Help yourself. To my house. My money. My dignity. Sloane opened her leather folder. Pulled out more papers. We've spoken to 3 eldercare attorneys. They all agree. Your behavior shows signs of diminished capacity. My behavior shows signs of recovered self-respect. She read from her notes. Clinical language. Cold assessments. Paranoid ideation. Social withdrawal. Financial irresponsibility. Financial irresponsibility. For keeping my own money. Social withdrawal. For avoiding people who use me. Paranoid ideation. For recognizing their motives. Ava started crying. Performance tears. Perfectly timed. This is tearing our family apart, Grandma. Your father tore it apart when he excluded me from his birthday. But we can fix it. We can all try harder. I tried harder for 50 years. Now I'm trying differently. Nathan stood up, paced to the window, stared out at nothing. The neighbors are talking too. About your isolation. Your odd behavior. What odd behavior? You don't answer your phone. You don't go to church anymore. You canceled your bridge club. You avoid social events. I avoid obligation disguised as entertainment. I avoid people who measure my worth by my wallet. Sloane consulted her notes again. Rattled off observations. Mrs. Patterson says you seem confused at the grocery store. Mrs. Davis says you don't maintain your yard properly. Mrs. Chen says you talk to yourself while gardening. I talk to Harold while gardening. And he listens better than you do. This isn't healthy, Mom. This obsession with Dad. Remembering my husband isn't obsession. It's love. Something you've forgotten how to recognize. The room fell silent. Rain drummed the windows. They regrouped. Changed tactics. Softer approach. Ava moved closer. Took my hand in hers. Grandma, we love you. We want what's best. Her fingers were cold. Soft. Unfamiliar. When did you last hold my hand without wanting something? She pulled away. Wounded. Offended. That's not fair. Fair would be visiting without emergencies. Calling without crises. Fair would be including me. Respecting me. Seeing me. Nathan returned to Harold's chair. Sank into the leather. This is getting us nowhere. The hearing is scheduled. You'll be examined. Evaluated. Judged. If you're found competent, fine. Keep your house. If not, we'll make sure you're cared for properly. Cared for. Like an invalid. Like property. Like burden. Get out of my house. The words came quiet. Final. Sharp as winter air. Mom, please. Let's be reasonable. Get out. All of you. Now. They stood slowly. Gathered their papers. Their plans. Their accusations. This isn't over, Eleanor. The hearing will proceed. You're right. It isn't over. But you are. All of you. Done. They filed toward the door. Sloane's heels clicking on Harold's floors. Nathan paused in the doorway. Looked back. When the judge declares you incompetent, don't blame us. When the judge declares me sound, don't call me. The door closed. Cars started. Engines faded. I sat in the sudden quiet. Surrounded by Harold's presence. His chair still warm from Nathan's body. His photo still crooked on the mantel. I straightened the frame. Touched his smiling face. Remembered the man who'd loved without conditions, given without keeping score. The man who'd left me notes about strength, about dignity, about choice. The radiator coughed. The clock ticked. The house settled. Familiar sounds. Comforting rhythms. Home sounds. I made tea. Sat at Harold's place at the table. Opened his journal to a random page. Read his words. Eleanor is the strongest person I know. She just doesn't know it yet. Someday she'll remember who she was before she became everyone's answer. When that day comes, watch out world. She'll be unstoppable. Tears came then. For Harold. For us. For what we'd lost. But also for what I'd found. Myself. My voice. My power. The phone rang twice that evening. I didn't answer. Let them wonder. Let them worry. Let them wait. I had a hearing to prepare for. A case to build. A life to defend. 2 weeks to prove I was competent. Capable. Clear-minded. 2 weeks to show the world I was nobody's victim. Nobody's burden. Nobody's convenience. I was Eleanor Brooks. Harold's wife. My own woman. And I would not be moved. The morning after felt different. Cleaner somehow. Like I'd swept out cobwebs. Aired out stale rooms. Opened windows I hadn't known were sealed shut. I made coffee in Harold's old pot. The one that whistled off key. Sat at our kitchen table. Watched November light filter through clean glass. For the first time in months, I felt hungry. Really hungry. I scrambled eggs. Buttered toast. Ate every bite. Food tasted like food again. Not obligation. Not routine. Outside, the Kleins worked in their garden. Preparing for winter. He raked leaves. She planted bulbs for spring. Partnership. Shared purpose. Love in action. I finished breakfast. Washed my dishes. Dried them carefully. Then I climbed the stairs to the attic. Harold's domain. Dusty boxes. Forgotten treasures. A lifetime stored away. I found the photo albums first. Brittle corners. Faded memories. Harold in his army uniform. Young and hopeful. Our wedding day. My dress home sewn. His smile genuine. Nathan as a baby. Chubby cheeks. Innocent eyes. Before he learned that love could be measured. Quantified. Withdrawn. I turned the pages slowly. Traced faces with my finger. Here we were at the lake. Summer vacation. Nathan 7 years old. Building sandcastles. Catching fireflies. Laughing together. When did laughter become negotiation? Joy become transaction? I found Harold's toolbox in the corner. Still organized perfectly. Every screwdriver in its place. Every nail sorted by size. The way he lived. The way he loved. Everything in order. At the bottom, wrapped in his old work shirt, was a shoebox. Inside, letters I'd written him during his army service. Love letters. Young and foolish and true. My handwriting neat. My words full of longing. Underneath the letters, something I'd never seen before. A manila envelope. My name written in Harold's careful script. Inside, more notes. Dozens of them, all addressed to me. For when you forget who you are, the first one said. I unfolded it slowly. Read his words from beyond the grave. Eleanor, you are not their convenience store. You are not their emergency fund. You are my wife. Their mother. A woman of strength and grace. Remember that when they forget. Another note for when they make you feel guilty. Your kindness is not weakness. Your generosity is not obligation. You chose to give. You can choose to stop. No guilt required. And another for when you feel alone. You are never alone. I am in every board of this house. Every memory in these rooms. Every beat of your heart. You carry me with you always. I read them all. Every note. Every message. Every reminder. Harold had known this day would come. The day I'd need his strength. The day I'd have to choose between their needs and my dignity. He'd prepared me, equipped me, armed me with love. Tears came then. For Harold. For us. For what I'd almost lost. My sense of self. My right to choose. My refusal to disappear. I carried the notes downstairs. Spread them on the kitchen table. A paper trail of love. Evidence of worth. Proof of identity. The phone rang. Lucas's number. I answered gladly. Hey Grandma Eleanor. How are you today? Better. Much better. His voice carried concern, warmth, genuine care. Dad called me this morning. Told me about yesterday. Did he tell you they all ganged up on me? In my own house? He said you threw them out. I asked them to leave. They refused. I insisted. Good for you. Simple words. But they meant everything. Validation. Support. Understanding. What my son couldn't give. My grandson offered freely. Are you scared about the hearing? No. I'm prepared. Angry, maybe. But not scared. Priya says we have a strong case. Medical records. Financial statements. Character witnesses. Proof of competence. I have something else too. Harold's notes. His words about my strength. That's perfect. Evidence of long-term support. Documented encouragement. Lucas understood legal strategy. Inheritance battles. Family warfare. Ecology graduate school had taught him about systems. Relationships. Balance. Would you like me to come over? Help you prepare? I'd like that. Very much. He arrived an hour later. Rain-soaked but smiling. Bakery bag in hand. Coffee in a thermos. We spread everything across the dining room table. Documents. Photos. Letters. Evidence of a life well lived. A mind still sharp. A heart still strong. Lucas organized everything with scientific precision. Financial competence here. Medical stability there. Character references. Look at this bank statement. Perfect budgeting. No errors. And this medical report. Clean bill of health. No cognitive issues. Your handwriting in Harold's notes. Clear. Steady. Recent dates. Proof of ongoing mental acuity. Emotional stability. We worked for hours. Building my defense. Preparing my case. But also talking. Sharing. Connecting. He told me about school. His research. His dreams. I told him about Harold. Our early days. Our deep love. The conversation flowed easy as water. Natural as breathing. This was what family felt like. Support without strings. Love without leverage. Presence without profit. As evening approached, Lucas gathered his papers. You're going to be fine, Grandma. Better than fine. You're going to show them what strength looks like. After he left, I sat alone with Harold's notes. Read them again. Let his words sink deep. You are not their convenience store. You are my wife. Their mother. A woman of strength and grace. You carry me with you always. I walked through our house. Touched his handiwork. The level shelves. The sturdy banister. The window seat for reading. Every board chosen with care. Every nail driven with love. In the kitchen, I found Harold's garden journal. Notes about planting seasons. Soil conditions. Growth patterns. His final entry, written weeks before he died. Garden needs work. Eleanor loves roses. Plant more by kitchen window. She'll tend them when I'm gone. She'll remember me in their blooming. I looked out at the neglected garden. Weeds choking the roses. Harold's hope overgrown. His memory tangled in thorns. Tomorrow I would prune, clear away the dead growth, make space for new blooms, honor his faith in my future. Tonight I climbed the stairs to our bedroom, put on his flannel shirt, climbed into our bed. Harold's pillow still smelled like him. Aftershave and sawdust. I hugged it close, felt his presence, his strength flowing into mine, his love becoming my armor. In 12 days I would face a judge, answer questions, defend my mind, prove I was competent, capable, clear thinking, prove I was nobody's victim, nobody's burden, nobody's convenience. I closed my eyes, listened to the house, Harold's house, our house, my house, the radiator's gentle rhythm, the clock's steady measure, the sound of a home that would not be sold, the sound of a woman who would not be silenced, the sound of love that transcended death, that transformed weakness into strength, that turned solitude into sovereignty. I slept deeply, dreamlessly, protected by legal documents and Harold's notes, armed with truth and memory and unshakable resolve, ready for battle, ready for victory, ready to show the world what Eleanor Brooks was made of. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The hearing was tomorrow, Friday morning, 9:30 sharp. I woke before dawn, clear-headed, steady-hearted, ready, made coffee in Harold's old pot, sat at our kitchen table, watched morning light creep across familiar surfaces. This might be my last quiet morning in this house. If the judge ruled against me, if they won their case, if I was declared incompetent, unfit, mentally gone, but I wasn't afraid, not anymore. Harold's notes lay spread across the table. Paper armor, his words about strength, about dignity, about choice, evidence of love that death couldn't diminish. I picked up my pen, found a clean sheet of paper, began to write, my own manifesto, my own truth, the letter I should have written years ago. Dear Nathan, Sloan, and Ava. Tomorrow a judge will decide if I'm competent to manage my own life. You believe I'm not. You think I've lost my mind. Let me tell you what I've actually lost. I lost the ability to confuse love with money. I lost the need to buy your attention with emergencies. I lost the fear of being alone with myself. What I found was this: I am enough. I always was. My worth doesn't depend on your needs, your crises, your approval. I am not your solution, your bank account, your convenience. I am Eleanor Brooks, Harold's wife, your mother, a woman who forgot herself for 50 years. But remembering now, reclaiming now, standing now. You taught me that love comes with conditions, interest rates, payment plans. Harold taught me love is freely given, freely received, or not at all. You see my boundaries as cruelty. I see them as self-respect. You see my solitude as sickness. I see it as peace. You see my refusal as mental decline. I see it as mental clarity. Tomorrow you'll try to prove I'm incompetent. But competence isn't measured by compliance. Sanity isn't proven by submission. Mental health doesn't require self-erasure. I have managed my finances responsibly, made sound decisions, protected my assets from those who would exploit them. That includes you, my own blood, my own family. If that makes me crazy, then madness is wisdom. If that makes me selfish, then selfishness is survival. If that makes me incompetent, then incompetence is strength. The house will not be sold. Not while I live. My money will not fund your convenience. Not anymore. My love will not be purchased. Not at any price. This is not mental illness. This is mental health. This is not confusion. This is clarity. This is not the end of our relationship. This was never a relationship. Relationships require mutual respect, shared affection, equal giving. What we had was extraction. You took. I gave. Nothing mutual about it. So tomorrow, when the judge asks about my mental state, I'll tell the truth. I am clearer now than I've been in decades. I see you as you are. Not as I hoped you'd be. I see myself as I am. Not as you needed me to be. I see this house as it is. My sanctuary. My choice. My right. Whatever the judge decides, I will not apologize. Not for protecting myself. Not for choosing peace. Not for remembering who I was before I became your answer. Harold knew this day would come. He prepared me for it. Left me notes about strength. About dignity. About choice. His final note said this: you are not their convenience. You are their mother. There's a difference. Fight for it. I fought. I'm still fighting. I will keep fighting. Until my last breath. Until my final heartbeat. Until the day I join Harold in whatever comes after. This house will stand. My dignity will endure. My story will be told truly. Not as you write it. But as I live it. As I choose it. As I claim it. I am Eleanor Brooks. I am 73 years old. I am competent. I am capable. I am complete. With or without your love. Your approval. Your presence. I am enough. I have always been enough. Tomorrow you'll learn that, whether you accept it or not. Your former bank account, Eleanor. I folded the letter carefully. Put it in an envelope. Wrote Nathan's name on the front. Set it on Harold's desk. Someday, maybe, I'd send it. Or maybe not. Writing it was enough. The truth was enough. Speaking my reality into existence. Claiming my voice. The phone rang. Lucas's number. I answered gladly. Good morning, Grandma. How are you feeling? Ready. More ready than I've ever been. Priya wants to meet at her office an hour early. Final preparation. I'll be there. With Harold's notes. With the truth. After I hung up, I dressed carefully. Navy blue suit. Pearl earrings. The outfit I'd worn to Harold's funeral. Armor disguised as respectability. I put Harold's wedding ring on the chain around my neck. His strength against my heart. His love in my bones. Breakfast was simple. Toast and jam. Coffee and courage. I ate slowly. Tasted everything. Remembered everything. This kitchen. This table. This life I'd built with Harold. This peace I'd found without them. The morning sun streamed through clean windows. Lit the roses outside. Harold's roses. Pruned now. Tended now. Blooming again. Like me. Cut back to essentials. Growing toward light. I gathered my documents. Harold's notes. My evidence of competence. Proof that I was sound of mind. Clear of purpose. Strong of will. At the front door, I paused. Looked back at my house. Harold's careful work. My chosen sanctuary. Our shared legacy. Win or lose today, this was mine. This choice was mine. This fight was mine. This dignity was mine. I stepped outside. Locked the door. Walked to my car. The November air was crisp. Clean. Full of promise. Whatever came next, I was ready. Eleanor Brooks was ready. The woman who'd forgotten herself was fully awakened. The mother who'd been erased had reappeared. The widow who'd been dismissed would not be silenced. Today I would speak my truth. Defend my choices. Prove my competence to strangers who would judge my worthiness. But I already knew what they'd find. A woman of sound mind. Clear purpose. Unshakable resolve. A woman who'd learned the difference between love and transaction. between family and exploitation, between giving and giving up. A woman who would not be moved, would not be broken, would not disappear into their convenience. I started the engine. Harold's ring warm against my chest. His voice in my memory. His strength in my spine. The road ahead was clear. The destination certain. Justice, truth, victory. Or if not victory, then dignity in defeat. Either way, I would remain whole. Eleanor Brooks. Complete. Competent. Uncompromising. Ready for battle. Ready for peace. Ready for whatever came after both.